Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Strathman, and this is my presentation on gifts to students and staff as part of Module 11 in the EDL 854 course through Fort Hays State University. And I think the first thing I would want to share with staff regarding gift giving to students and staff is just a reminder that gift giving should always be governed by a set of rules and guidelines. I think that it's important that we would always remember to follow those guidelines within our building and or our district. I think it's important to remember that school funds are not ours to borrow, to loan, to give away, that we're charged with being good financial stewards of the resources that we are placed to be in charge of, and that it's really essential to avoid the appearance of any reckless handling of funds. I think it's just always a good reminder that the public will be could be asking for us to be accountable to those use of funds, and we need to make sure that we're following strong guidelines when we're managing our monies. Just being a good financial steward is always something that we need to strive for as administrators. The first type of gifts to students in the text were the fundraising incentive gifts. And it's important to remember, if you're utilizing fundraising incentive gifts for students participating in a specific type of fundraiser, to make sure that incentive gifts are only provided to students who participated in the fundraiser and also who met the criteria for whatever that incentive gift was for. You also need to remember that fundraising incentive gifts are purchased with the profits that you're making from the fundraiser. So it's important to remember to keep those gifts appropriate, both with the age appropriateness of the gift and also the total cost of the gift, so that you're not detracting from your profits from the fundraiser. One additional point that the text made regarding fundraising incentive gifts would be if you're choosing to give gifts not specifically part of a fundraiser, to make sure that you're not singling out one group of students over the other. So if you're giving some type of an incentive gift and it's not tied to a fundraiser, make sure you're being equal to all groups or all classes of students. Another type of gift to student is special achievement gifts. These would be gifts that are targeted toward a specific individual and would honor academic or athletic achievement. These gifts are also purchased with funds from either the general account or an athletic fund account if we're looking at letters for varsity players or medals tied to an athletic event. Or these special achievement gifts could be purchased with donated funds from parents or the community. And as with the other types of gifts to students, just make sure that these gifts are also nominal in value and appropriate to the activity that you're rewarding the student for. Next, we'll talk about gifts to staff members. And I think the most important concept from the text about gift to staff members was that gifts to staff members should be guided by written procedures and by a committee. And I think it's important that we remember this should not be an individual that is in charge of gifts to staff, but it does need to be a group. The text also discussed that the group should meet at least once per year to review those set guidelines, and then also to discuss where their funds are, how they might want to allocate their monies, the types of purchases they would choose to make for gifts to staff, and then maybe a ballpark amount that they would spend on each type of gift in different situations. I think it's also important to remember that different staff need to be involved in both the collection of the funds for gifts to staff and then also for the use of those funds. I just think that will help keep financial risk at a minimum if we're just using sound practices and having more than one set of eyes on managing the money. There's three different types of staff gifts that were discussed in our text: special occasion, fundraising incentive, and then all staff gifts. Special occasion staff gifts are purchased with monies from the Staff Remembrance Fund that typically come from annual staff dues per se or donations. In our office, we collect money at the beginning of the year, different amounts for administrators than for classified staff, and that goes into the Staff Remembrance Fund for different types of purchases throughout the school year for staff. In this type of staff gift, there's typically a dollar amount set for type of gift that might be purchased dependent upon the occasion. Special occasion gifts are purchased with the monies from that staff remembrance fund and might include things like weddings, birth of a child, death in the immediate family. The second type of staff gift is fundraising incentive gift. This is very similar to the student type of gift for fundraising incentive, but this time we would be giving that gift to staff who met the criteria for a targeted fundraiser. And again, this type of gift is purchased with funds from the fundraiser, so you want to make sure to not use a large amount of money. Typically 5% is a good rule of thumb so that you're not detracting from the profits from your fundraiser. All staff gifts were the third type of gifts that were discussed in staff gifts, and this would be for anybody in your staff, a gift that you may be giving at the beginning of the year to all staff, during Teacher Appreciation Week, or maybe a special weekly activity that your building has. All staff types of gifts are purchased either with staff generated funds or donated funds, again from maybe a parent-teacher organization or a community donation. It's important to remember for all staff gifts that if cash or cash equivalent gifts are given, such as a gift card or gift certificates, that those types of gifts, if they're monetary, would need to be reported on a W-2 form, as those are to be taxed as any other earnings would be. So I think that what's important to remember about this type of gift is just use tangible items with a lower dollar value. That seems to be a better avenue to take so that you don't put yourself at risk or put your staff at risk for not reporting actual income. Another type of gift that was discussed is special efforts. And I think this can be a very powerful type of gift that a building may give to a staff member or to a student and their family. And these types of gifts would be to honor those coping with either a very serious illness, cancer, for example, or maybe have had a catastrophic event in their family, such as maybe a fire to their home. The text really talked about maybe best practice would be to have your parent-teacher organization be responsible maybe to coordinate efforts and definitely to collect the funds. That just avoids maybe some financial risk on your part as the building. You definitely don't want those monies to go into your general fund account or really to have your bookkeeper be responsible for those. So special efforts, definitely a powerful type of gift that we may use in our building in those special circumstances, but just be mindful to both gain prior approval before you start some type of fundraising effort or give a special gift to a family, but also include your parent-teacher organization. One thing I think, regardless of the type of gift we're talking about, is just again that reminder of if we're giving any type of gift, whether it's to students or staff, to keep public opinion in mind. And just to always be good financial stewards of the monies that we're given. They're not ours to just use however we would want to use them, but just to make sure we're making wise financial choices. Throughout my presentation, these are the standards that I believed to be true for this activity, that it's a responsibility of us as an administrator to act ethically and professionally in our personal conduct, relationships with others, decision-making, stewardship of the school's resources, and all aspects of school leadership, and also to model and promote the frequent and effective use of technology for learning. And I know my own experience using this stretches me a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I could see how this type of technological presentation could be really powerful for staff in a number of training opportunities that we might have ongoing throughout a school year. So I thank you for your time this afternoon, and I wish everyone well.